What's good, everybody? My name is Machiavelli, and this year we've had crazy drops in hip-hop. We've had so amazing good albums, from Let God Sort 'Em Out to the Tyler Don't Tap the Glass album, all the way to Ghostface Killah just dropped yesterday. It's a crazy record. Old school motherfuckers, new school people. We've heard from everybody. Drake dropped, Lil Baby dropped, Lil Wayne dropped. We've had polarizing, albums. We've had the best of the best and then the worst of the worst too. But there's been one thing going on in a common theme that's been a topic of concern, but at the same time, it's been it's what has made this year so good at the same time. And that topic is the age of the rappers. You know what I'm saying? It's like hip hop just got into a point that there's a lot of old people in the game right now, and they're running the show. They're the face front of the culture. And hip hop's been around for 52, 53 years, give or take. Around this time of the year is actually the birthday of hip hop. So, but never in the history of the genre we've had a time where people above the age of 30, let alone 40 and 50, have been dominating the game, have been the face front of the culture, have been, amongst everybody, unanimously, or, a lot of people voting them for, artist of the decade or artist of the year, or having one of the best albums even in the decade. You know what I'm saying? And it is quite concerning because why are old people up there? But at the same time, it's good because they are making amazing music. Like, in terms of quality, it is just amazing. We've had this year, Let God Sort 'Em Out, it's been crazy. The JID album's been crazy. Ghostface just dropped yesterday, it's been crazy. Even like last year, a couple months before the new year, like GNX dropped, that album's crazy, and Kendrick's still going on tour with it right now. So, and Kendrick's like 38, so it just proves that old people are running hip hop right now, and they are the topic, they are the face fronts, they are the number ones, in today's climate, you know what I'm saying? But how did we get to this point in the first place? Like, what happened? In the changes in the way we consume music in the industry, to the point that now we have so many older folks and older rappers dominating the charts and dominating, the attention and the audiences, So let's go back to the 2010s. So around this time, 2010, between 2011, 2013, three important people came up around those couple years, which was Drake, Kendrick, and J. Cole, the big three. You know what I'm saying? But those years are also very, very pivotal in the world as a whole, and technology, in the way we consume music, in the way we interact with other people. And two main things came around, basically everybody in the world had access to a smartphone, even in third world countries, in Europe, in America, Canada, Asia, Africa. Everybody could get their hands on a smartphone. And now what happens when the smartphone comes on? Technology is available. People can pirate shit. So now it's like they get access to social media and they get access to streaming for music. And that changes everything. That changes the way we consume it. Now we don't buy nothing. We get streams, So instead of going out and buying something, you just stream it, and it's less money. Because the pool of money is like less. Before you went on and bought a record for $15, now you need, probably like 300 streams to get $1 from one person. And you need 15 people to give you $1 to make the same amount of money that you would have made 15, if you made money like in the 2010s, you know what I'm saying, by selling CDs or albums, you know what I'm saying? So when we made this shift from, physical over to the digital world, you sacrifice a part of the culture. You sacrifice a part of the art in order to make it more available to everybody. Because now the streaming game changes the strategy. Now it's more people instead of higher quality people. Because Spotify has the streamings is Democrat. It's exactly the same. It's the same for everybody. It's, Sexy Songs for You by Drake is the same worth as, the clipse Let God Sort 'Em Out. There's no music that's worth more than the other one. The way that music makes more, it's because it's streamed more. But the value inherently of the music is exactly the same. So now the strategy changes. Now you're gonna make music that appeals to more people, and you're gonna make music that has more replay value. And when you make music and you adapt the product to adapt to the changes in the market, that's when you start losing what the product actually made you fall in love with it in the first place. And we had, between all the 2010s and most of this decade, we've had burnout. We've had the same trap sound since like 2015. It hasn't changed. The same 808s, the same sounds, the same topics, the same subject matters, the same flows, the same everything. Even the same people is on there. That we haven't had many new people coming out. And the new people that's coming out, like, they don't know how to perform. They don't know how to make great music. They just are there, bro. And they had to cancel BET Awards for that, because it's like nobody wants the new talents. The XXL freshmen, bro, they haven't nailed nothing, because there hasn't been a new rapper coming out that, was worthy to make it up there. And it's been, very disappointing, but I attribute a lot to that change, in the way we consume and how we adapted the culture in order to adapt to the change in the market, or adapt to the change the way we consume things, So what happened now is that we are starting to see a shift back into that quality, a shift back into that character, into that personality, into that depth of music. And I believe that Kendrick came at the right time, because 2023 everybody thought hip hop was dead in 2023. We were celebrating the 50 years of the genre, but it didn't feel like it. There wasn't a single hip hop song or album to chart #1 on the Billboard. There wasn't nothing until Lil Uzi dropped the Pink Tape in like June or July or something like that. So it was like 6 months until we had a #1 in the charts. That's been the longest drought since probably like 93, 92. So it's been almost like 30 years since that happened. Everybody's saying hip hop's no longer receiving the same amount of funding from the labels. They're starting to get dancehall people, Latin people, Afro beats. Hip hop's not the priority anymore. And then Kendrick comes next year and says, nah. We're offsetting we're making this redundant. We are gentrifying this shit. The people that don't deserve to be here are not gonna be here. We are keeping the culture. And then this trend has, of course, carried over, and now we're starting to see a shift in the way that people want to consume music. Now they want to get the message. Now we're focusing on the lyrics, on the double entendres, on the lores of the album, on the context, on the stories, on what certain lyrics mean. And the Clipse album right now, that just proves that people are actually paying attention to it. It sold over 100K first week, more than a lot of the people that are popping on right now, more than NBA Young Boys, more than Annalise Chopless, more than the Lil Babies, more than all these different people, Gunna, more than all these people, bro. And it's mad inspiring to see. It makes me so happy for the genre. But why is it that old people are the only ones to make this type of music? Why are old people the only ones that are able to make an album that sticks, and have the patience to sit down for years and nail a sound and develop a message and wrap it in a way so that the people could go and listen to it? They don't rush it. They sit down with it and they deliberately try to craft something for the people to consume, and every single dope album that's coming out this year is being by somebody that's more than 30 years old. Tyler's 34, JID's 34, the Clipse, Push is 48, and Malice is 52. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? With everything is above 30, and we got people in the late 40s and early 50s that has never been seen in hip hop. So it is good because the music's good. I'm enjoying hip hop, but the thing about it is that the amount of new artists that's going on right now that are not making music like this and are showing signs of not wanting to make something that sticks is alarming, because when these figures up here, the old people, go out and retire and don't do music anymore, we're gonna have with a bunch of people that they don't know, they cannot last. And that's when the genre starts dying down. And that's what happened to rock. Now rock, there's no mainstream. Rock was mainstream a few decades ago. Now it's absolutely obsolete. It's now underground, it's niche, it's not up in the mainstream anymore. You turn on top 40, there's no rock in there. Before it used to be, now it's not. And if the last, you know, people in hip hop go away, that's where the genre is going to be, because now the consumer has changed its habits. Now it's not many, it's not the majority of the people, it's not pop, but it's a very, very large majority of the genre, and very large, it's an increasing number, not a large majority, but it's increasing. Every single time people are demanding more depth, you know, in-depth projects, they're demanding more quality, they're demanding more individuality and authenticity. And that's what the people want, but the younger artists are not able to deliver that. However, the newer artists that are coming up these next 5 years, they are going to be the ones that are going to see these older folks as inspiration, are going to be like, they're going to see Kendrick and they're going to see, oh, if I make music like him, I'm going to be able to go and tour the world. I'm going to be able to go around, sell a bunch of records, be the face of the culture if I make deep music that actually got a message. Develop a sound, develop my skills, don't rushing the process, and really, really, you know, nailing who I am. You know what I'm saying? And really presenting the world something that they've never heard before. That's what I like about, you know, having older people as the face of the culture right now, because the newer people could see this as an example. You know, of course, you know, we don't see any younger artists, you know, doing this stuff, but you know, some of them might pop in the next 5 years. That's what I'm saying. The next 5 years are going to be crucial. And these people, if they stay within the next 5 years, they're going to be the role models for the next generation of artists. If they're able to maintain their critical and, you know, their financial, you know, how good the number of sales they're doing. If artists like the Clipse keep releasing dope albums that sell good, people are going to see that and say, oh, this actually could work because it's selling a lot, you know, a lot of records. And they're touring and they're selling out, so I'm gonna do that too. And they're start modeling themselves after them, and that's when we're gonna start seeing, you know, longevity in artists, and we're gonna start seeing the culture last longer. So that's what I like. That's what that's what I'm faithful for. That's what I think is gonna happen. But you know, it's just a problem, because if it doesn't, then hip-hop dies with these last few generation of artists. When they retire, there's nobody that's gonna keep it longer instead of legacy acts. So, you know, that was my 2 cents on it. I know this year's been great. Next year's gonna be good. The rest of the year, even we got it, you know, we got Denzel Curry coming up. A$AP Rocky might drop. Even like people say Kendrick might drop again. Who knows? But you know, it's still a lot of surprises, still a lot of drops. We got a few months, you know, left of the year, so you know, I know Lil Baby's about to drop 2 next week or like next month or something like that. But yeah, any new drops I'll be covering this channel. And that's it for today. So I'll see you guys in the next video. 1.